Send lambs for the ruler in the land from the crags toward the desert to the mountains of the daughter of Zion. The daughters of Moab at the fords of Arnon are like fluttering birds pushed from their nests. Give us counsel, decide to help. Make your shadow over us. Like night in the middle of noonday, hide our outcasts. Don't betray our fugitives. Let our outcasts live with you. Protect Moab from the attacks of robbers. For when the extorting ends, the spoiling ceases, and those trampling on the land are destroyed. A throne will be set up by grace on it, and the tent of David will sit an honest judge, seeking justice and pursuing righteousness. We have heard about Moab's pride, how very proud they are, about their haughty arrogance, their insolent and bravado. Therefore Moab will wail for Moab. They will all wail. You will sigh, stricken with grief, with the raisin cakes of Kir Haset. For the grain fields of Heshbon are withering, also the vineyards of Sibmah, whose red grapes overpowered rulers of nations. Once they reached as far as Izir, are trailed out into the desert. Their spreading branches even cross the sea. Therefore I will weep for Sibmah's vine, as I weep for Yizir. I will water you with my tears, Heshbon and Elilah, because the shouts of battle are falling on your summer fruits and harvest. Gladness and joy are removed from the fruitful fields. No revelry in the vineyards, no happy shouting, no one treading grapes in the wine presses. I have silenced the vintage cheers. This is why my heart throbs like a lyre for Moab, and everything in me for Kir Heres. Even when Moab is seen growing weary of worshiping on the high places and entering their sanctuaries to pray, they will have accomplished nothing. This is the word of Adonai spoke against Moab in the past, but now Adonai has said, within 3 years, a day and not a day more, as if a hired worker were keeping track of time, the glory of Moab will be brought into contempt, despite its large population, and surviving remnant will be few and feeble. This is the prophecy about Damascus. Damascus will stop being a city. It will become a heap of ruins. The cities of Aurora will be abandoned, given over to flocks lying down undisturbed. Ephraim will have no defenses. Damascus will cease to rule, and Aram's survivors will share the fate of Israel's finest sons. Says Adonai Svaot, when that day comes, Yaakov's glory will wane, and his full body grow thin, as when the harvest collects the standing grain, reaping the ears of grain with his arm. Yes, as when they glean the grain in the Rephaim valley. Yet gleaning will be left, as when beating an olive tree, 2 or 3 olives at the very top, 4 or 5 on its fruitful branches. Says Adonai, the God of Israel, on that day a person will heed his maker and turn his eyes towards the Holy One of Israel. He will pay no heed to the altars made with his own hands. He will not turn toward what his fingers made, the sacred poles and standing stones for sun worship. When that day comes, his strong cities, which others abandoned when Israel advanced, will be like abandoned wood and forest. They will be laid waste. For you have forgotten the God who saved you, failed to remember the rock of your strength. So you plant pagan-style gardens and set out vine cutting for a foreign god, though you make them grow on the day you plant them, and in the morning your seedling flower, the crop will vanish the day disease comes, a day of incurable pain. Oh, the terror-stricken uproar of many peoples, roaring like a roar of the seas, and the rushing about the nations, rushing and surging like wild waters. Yes, the nations will roar like a mighty ocean, but he will rebuke them, and far will they flee. Driven like chaff by the mountain wind, like whirling dust in advance of the storm. And as evening falls, you can see terror before sunrise. They have ceased to be. This is the lot of those who plunder us, the fate of those who prey on us. Woe to the land of wearing wings, beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. They send ambassadors by sea across the water in papyrus reed boats. Go, swift messengers, to a nation tall and bronze, to a people feared far and near, to a strong and conquering nation whose land is divided by rivers. All you inhabitants of the world, you who live on the earth, when a banner is hoisted on the mountains, look. When the shofar is blown, listen. For Adonai has said this to me. I will look on from my place and do nothing. Like heat shimmering in the sun, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. For before the harvest, when the flowering is over, and the bud becomes a ripening grape, he will cut off the branches with pruning knives, lop off twigs and take them away. They will all be left to the vultures in the mountains, and to the wild animals in the fields. The vultures will feed on them in summer, and the wild animals of the fields in winter. In that time tribute will be brought to Adonai Svaot, from the nation tall and bronze, from a people feared far and near, from a strong and conquering nation whose land is divided by rivers, to the place where the name of Adonai Svaot lives, Mount Zion.